Hello, so I'm making this video on how to fix your vet scale. So this vet scale is just not reading correctly. Sometimes it's giving my U's or error 6. So first thing you should do is actually inspect the scale itself. Make sure all the feet are attached. And this is actually very important because I get a lot of phone calls for this and it's something so simple. But if you actually lift up your scale and you see the feet should not be screwed in all the way, right? Some people screw them all the way down and there's no travel for the load cells. So it's always giving error 6 regardless of how many times you calibrate it. You have to make sure it's leveled but not screwed in all the way. So you see my feet are not screwed in all the way in. So always verify that your feet are not screwed in all the way, because a lot of times they'll still give you the error 6 even though you're not doing anything. I have a vet scale here, so what we're going to do is actually now try to get to the calibration and seeing if we get that to work. So this is important before a calibration, is actually inspecting the cable itself. So make sure this connection is tight in there and run your hands to the cable, and if you see any cuts or smash in the cable, that could be causing your issue with not sending the signal properly. When you have the entire cable, and you can actually lift up the metal pan and check underneath. I forgot to mention, I was going to mention it previously, but you see your 4-pin connector, just a little bit closer look. You'll notice how it has 2 screws inside. So we're actually going to check the cable itself. So what you could do is actually loosen this up. You don't have to take it out all the way, just loosen it up. See a little screw. We're actually going to check the cable itself is bad. Sometimes the solder points break off. Someone yanks on the cable, for example, and it will check it. See, there's 2. So now pinch the black end and counterclockwise this metal housing, and you can see my cables. And if you notice any of these are broken off, you see, if you notice any of these broke off from solder points, this could be causing your unstable fluctuating weight. So see, make sure they're all in there, and you'll notice pin 1 should be red, pin 2 is green, pin 3 is white, and pin 4 is black, and they're actually labeled on here. So always verify the cable itself is fine, and you could always check with a multimeter. Now I'll show you what I mean. So here on my multimeter, you see it's a little symbol sound icon. You'll know when you're in continuity when you push the 2 ends together and you hear a beep. So in this case, you see how I'm trying to check pin 1. And remember, pin 1 was supposed to be the red cable. So I'm going to hold it here, and I actually removed the cable, but if you're not removing the cable, you can still check it. You can always just push the other tip at the solder point on the floor scale and seeing if there's continuity. But let me just show you this. Here my pin 1 is red, that's fine. So that means the cable from this end to this end, it's going all the way through the signal. So it's pin 2, and remember pin 2 is green. Okay, it's beeping fine, it's fine. And then pin 3 is white, and pin 4 is the black cable. Okay, so my cable is fine, but that's important to check. Maybe that cable got damaged, if someone yanks on this, you can see how it breaks off the solder points on here. And if you don't have a multimeter, it's fine, just inspect it. You know, when we're checking the cable itself, does it look cut or smashed in areas? Always remove this connector and check it itself. Check the other end if it broke off. And if you want, you could test continuity and all that. Here on my vet scale, I have my 20 kg weight. So if you watch my video on how to calibrate an OP Nano 2, it's going to be the same process. The tricky part is actually getting in to calibration, so I'm actually going to turn it off. So the vet scales come with the OP Nano 2. So while it's turning on, you're going to hold down the hold and units button. So you'll see while it's counting down, or counting up I should say, hold down, and you should see cal. Make sure it says cal and LB. Press the units, you see it's kg, but I'm calibrating it in LB for this today. Press hold, and make sure it says F56. You can press the units button to go down. So your indicator, when I say F55, keep pressing units to go to F56. DP, that decimal places to 1. So yes, I want 1 decimal place, and vet scale is 1. And D2, that's just how it's counting by, incrementing by. I put 1 decimal previously, so meaning it's not going to increment by 0.2 pounds, which is good. That's for vet scale. Cap, that's capacity. So I'll press set. And right now it's set to 10,000, but it's not really important. Or set 1,000. That's the capacity, but you can see I can move left, pressing 0 button. And units button would decrement it. So say I want it to 2,000. 2,000.0. It's okay. That's fine. Load, so what am I going to put on it? You can see it says 155 currently, so I'm going to make it say 44 pounds. Move left, press 0 button, and the units button decrements it, so I'm going to make it say 44 pounds. And this will be whatever your calibration weight is. It's recommended to use maybe like 100 pounds, anything like that. You can stand on it if you know your body weight. I have my test weight at 44 pounds, should be enough. But something heavy, if it's like 5 or 10 pounds, probably not enough. So you might say it's more heavy to do it. And you can always recalibrate it. You can watch this part again. But I just want to see if it fixes the issue. So 44, cal on. So no load. So make sure that the vet scale is clear. There's nothing on there. Just want to zero out whatever's on there. No load. Okay, now add load, AD load. So now I'm going to place my 20 kg weight on there. Okay, 20 kg weights under. I press hold. Now cal end. Now remove the weight. I'm at cal end. Now it's counting up. So it's 0.0. Let me test my weight. Okay, here's my weight, 44 pounds. So that's correct. But sometimes maybe this doesn't fix it or not. So next we're actually going to check the junction box. Because for some people, this calibration and check the feet did not fix the problem. One thing I wanted to mention about the 902 is that I've noticed maybe after a couple years of usage, maybe had 902 2-3 years, and sometimes they fail. Meaning, no matter how hard I press the on-off button, they do not turn on. So I do have another video on how to check the connections internally, but you'll see how there's 4 screws holding it in. So maybe the keypad one disconnected inside. Go ahead and open it up and check inside if all the connections are fine. I have another video on that. But if you find the 902 does not turn on and it's just not reading anything at all, and you change the batteries, you plugged it into power, it still doesn't work, so maybe the 902 just failed. So it does happen every once in a while, especially after a couple years of usage, but there's not much you could do about it. There's no repairing it, and we don't have boards or parts for these, so the only thing you have to do, because your vet scale is fine, the platform at least, it's just the indicator might not be reading at all. If it's reading something, it works. So either it works or it doesn't work. Meaning if it doesn't turn on, it's having any issues, it means the indicator to be replaced. If it doesn't turn on at all, you hear no beep when you press the on-off button with new batteries, new charger. So I want to mention that because you have the option of getting a new one, and you can order it through us for a new 902. Or you could also, if you don't want to have this problem again, maybe in another couple years, you could contact us at support, and we can make you it's a 4-pin connector to a 5-pin connector. You might say, why does that matter? Well, instead of using the same 902 that has this issue, you can start using a 901 indicator. With 901, I've seen those last 10 years without a problem. They don't have the same kind of failure rate that 902s have, but it's something that costs maybe $20 more, $30 more, but I think it's worth the upgrade from a 902 to 901 if you have an indicator that failed. Because with this cable, you just plug it in to the 4-pin connector, and that'll be the 4-pin from the scale into this cable, and then you could plug it in to a 901, which I'll show you right now. So this is what I mean by a 901. It has more buttons, easier to calibrate, and on the back, see the 5-pin connector. So you'll take the other end of this connection, right? You plug in the 5-pin. Pretty simple. Screw it down. And I'll walk you through the calibration if you decide to go through this. Right, so you're gonna hold down the on and set button at the same time for 2 seconds. So CO1. So it's a CO1 to 2 for pounds. CO2. So that's the amount of decimal places. I'm set that to 1 decimal place. CO3. So 2 because it's counting by 2, so it's 0.2 pound accurate. CO4, that's the maximum capacity. We're gonna set 2000, that's fine. CO5 is the 0 calibration, so press the 0 button, make the C51. Make sure the vet scale is clear. You press set. See it counting down. Okay, 0, that's good. You're in C06, so press set. C60. Now press the 0 button, make that to 1. See span. So I already inputted it, but let's make this, for me it's 44 pounds, but you're gonna make this whatever weight you have. And so the left arrow, right arrow moves left and right, this up and down. See, 44. So now I'm putting at 44 pounds under. You'll see. I'll press set. Okay, cal end, so remove the weight. Press set, CO7, I could tap on the on off button, and you see 0.0. And you see 44.0. So you can use the 901, it's the next option, a little more expensive, but it's a lot more reliable indicator. Or you can use the 900 or maybe any other indicator we have. But we need that cable because they have a 4-pin while all our other scales have a 5-pin connector. So no matter what you order, if you want to switch the vet scale to a newer indicator or a better indicator, you're going to need this cable, 4-pin to 5-pin cable. And from there, pretty easy to calibrate. I have a lot of videos on how to calibrate all our scales. But that's the process, and this is only important if your 902 officially died, like won't turn on, it's having issues. But next, we're actually going to start checking the vet scale itself and seeing the wiring internally to see if 902 works, but it's not giving the correct weight. So you have your vet scale here, and let's say the calibration didn't fix it, your indicator is fine, but something else is wrong. We checked the feed, it's all good. Let's actually remove the pan, lift up the metal pan, and we're actually going to check the junction box itself. So you see what I mean. Lift up, and I'll put this aside, and you'll see the frame itself, and you'll see a black box labeled junction box. So what we're going to do is actually get a screwdriver and open up that box. Okay, so you're here, you see the junction box. I remove all 6 screws, lift the lid up, and you see all the wiring. So there's 4 load cells, so per corner you have 4, but you'll see there's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 connections, because 4 load cells for each corner, and then there's that 1 cable that comes out of here. So this one, so we'll follow in here, this cable right here, if I follow it out, comes back, loop around, goes to my 4-pin connector. So what you're going to do is actually check all the wiring. These are all soldered on, but you'll see if any of them are loose. Right, and if one of them are broken off, you're gonna have to put attach it back and resolder it back on. It kind of becomes a pain in the ass, and if you don't know how to solder, it's kind of difficult to work on this, because then you have to probably buy a new scale. Because once one of the load cells goes out, for example, if cable broke off or something burned here, or if there's water damage in here, so water got inside of here, then there's not much way to fix it. You just it's not simple just to change out load cells. I mean, you theoretically can, so you could see the screws, take it out, move the wire, and unsolder and resolder a new load cell for per corner, but you have to be comfortable soldering, so that's the more difficult part. But if these are all fine, then it's either the J card, the thing here, the junction box, this whole thing has to be replaced, and you have to unsolder and then resolder a new one, or the load cells. How do I check the load cells? Well, let's say I'm here and I'm not sure, it's still not weighing correctly, it's not accurate weight. I stand on each corner and place weight on each corner and seeing which one's off. If this one's giving me 40 pounds, and it's 10 pounds, 40, 40, then that means that corner is bad, and I could follow the cable in here and seeing what's going on with this one. So I had to unsolder, and then maybe I can move one of the good ones from this corner, move it over, and see if that works. If you find that you move it over and the problem is still in the same corner, then the junction box is bad. But if you moved it over and the problem moved from that corner, let's say, to that corner, then your load cell is bad. So this sensor in that corner has to be replaced, which becomes difficult, but it is possible theoretically. For most people, they just decide, okay, I'll just buy a new vet scale, and that's that. So it's kind of difficult, but this is how you figure out how to fix a vet scale, and that's all the common issues they have on a vet scale.